The offshoot of al-Qaeda now controls much of Iraq and Syria, and is threatening Lebanon and Jordan as well. According to the UN, at least 200,000 refugees have fled these killers while murdering Christians and other folks they don't like in grisly ways. Yet President Obama has not yet ordered the U.S. military to move against that. The administration continues to study the situation, although today there were indications that some bombing is being considered. The Obama administration well understands most Americans do not want any re-involvement in Iraq and are tired of sacrificing for foreign nations. But that is foolish thinking. You don't walk away from a dire threat, you confront it in a smart way. The ISIS army could be downgraded by using American air power and drones without the USA getting directly involved with Iraqi politics, which is a fool's errand. Our country must sort out its own problems, but the ISIS threat extends far beyond Baghdad. And here's where the Obama administration is making a big mistake. By hiding behind Iraq's chaos, the USA is allowing Islamic terrorism to gain enormous power.
It's important for everyone to understand, and the president has made this clear, that there are no American military solutions to the problems in Iraq. We can't solve these problems for them.
But we can diminish the fighting ability of ISIS, and we should, because they will come after us eventually. So Question America looks weak in the face of the jihadist threat and Putin's aggression. The Russian tyrant massing forces on the eastern border of Ukraine, continuing to saber rattle despite economic sanctions. Does President Obama even have a plan ready to go in case Putin does invade that sovereign country? If so, might it not deter Russia if that plan was made public? It's completely understandable that many Americans do not want to involve our country in faraway places like Ukraine and the Middle East, where most Americans will never go and do not understand that the world is interconnected. For example, if the Taliban defeats the Afghan forces that we armed and trained, yet another terrorist state will re-emerge. And as we saw on 9/11, these fanatics are not just content with brutalizing their own people. They want to kill us and other infidels all over the world. Talking Points has said for years that American power is the last hope in defeating worldwide terrorism. Who will do it if we do not? Spain? But President Obama seems comfortable staying on the sidelines with the rest of the world, allowing ISIS and Putin to disrupt civilization. The longer we wait, the more painful the inevitable confrontation will be. That's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction was here in New York City. General Wesley Clark, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO. Where am I going wrong, General?
Well, I think ISIS is definitely going to be a threat to the United States. It's not a threat right now. It has some nasty rhetoric. It's certainly a threat to governments in the region. And I think the United States has to work with our allies in the region and bring a concert of various nations to put their power to work against ISIS.
So you want a coalition of the willing?
Well, I want a coalition of the people who are there and are most directly affected. We need to be helping the Kurds. They're going to fight. The Turks have an interest in this. They're going to fight.
Okay,
the Lebanese army's going to fight. The Saudis are engaged. And, of course, the Iraqi military.
This ISIS thing's going on for more than a year, all right? U.S. intelligence informed President Obama, the commander-in-chief of our armed forces, that ISIS was growing in power in Syria, that it was a threat, and President Obama had done nothing for more than a year. Now they're on the verge of attacking Baghdad, 60 miles away. They're attacking Lebanon. They're attacking in Syria. They may attack Jordan. So all of this rhetoric, we have to get the Saudis. We have to get the Turks. This doesn't mean anything anymore. This is an imminent threat to the region. Would you, if you were the president of the United States, of which you would consider running at one time, would you bomb ISIS? Would you bomb them?
You know, under the right circumstances, I think American air power can be usefully employed.
Okay, good. I'll take that as a yes. Why didn't we bomb them 6 months ago when they poured across the flat border in the desert, when they violated Iraqi sovereignty, when they came across? We let them. We let them establish. We let them attack Mosul. We let them attack the Kurds. You know, I mean, we're just impotent, the United States. We're impotent.
At all. Now, Bill, that's absolutely untrue. And I think it's a disservice to the men and women in uniform and to the country itself.
They can't fight if their commander-in-chief will order them.
You don't want to be quoted by some guy saying Bill O'Reilly's the expert on America, and he says America's impotent. You know that's not true. We trained that Iraqi military. We put it in place, and we lectured and hectored and did everything we could to get Prime Minister Maliki to build a representative government so that the military would fight. He didn't do it.
Right.
But our stepping in at that point wasn't going to be
Air
constructive.
power is different than stepping into Iraqi internal politics, so they make quite clear. This ISIS threat doesn't. I don't really care about Maliki and these guys. I mean, I don't care about them. I care about the United States. And if you are not going to do anything about a growing terror army, an offshoot of Al-Qaeda, and then you're not going to do anything about Putin seizing Crimea and threatening Ukraine, you're impotent. My word is absolutely correct.
I don't think the administration or the United States is saying we're not going to do anything.
They
In fact,
haven't
I think
done
the
anything.
opposite is the case. So take the case of Ukraine. So the first real requirement is to pull NATO together. That's what the administration's been doing. I certainly supported that. When I was a NATO commander,
I don't understand what
I
that
knew
means.
that no single bombing target was more important than NATO unity. Now, I think NATO's coming together.
You think?
I think they
After
are.
all this time, Crimea's gone,
It's a tough
Putin's
problem.
on the border,
Yeah.
Malaysian Airlines shot out of the sky, but you think they might become together.
Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Ukraine is not bound by any defense treaty that requires the United
That's
States to
true.
come in there and fight.
That's true.
If the circumstances were reversed, you might be saying the president's out there trying to get
But
our
I
boys
want
killed
a
in
plan.
war.
I don't want to hear we have to, we might, we should, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. I want a plan. I don't think President Obama has a plan. If Putin goes in tomorrow to Ukraine, which is certainly possible, what's he going to do?
Let me tell you something. If Putin goes into the Ukraine
Yes.
tomorrow, the consequences for Putin and Russia are simply incalculable.
Tell me what they are.
Okay, first of all, you can expect the sanctions would get a lot tougher.
The sanctions.
Yes.
Which haven't really worked so far,
No,
haven't they?
but they are going to be very disruptive to Russia's economy. They're going to continue to pose a problem for Putin. He can't get the technology, the financial...
But he's already got those
Hey, just a
sanctions
second.
on. Go ahead.
They're light sanctions. They're going to be a lot tougher. Secondly, what he's going to have is he's going to have a lot of rearmament facing him in NATO. Third, he's going to have continued resistance in Ukraine. You know, Ukraine's 45 million people. They're not Syria. They're not a bunch of people saying, hey, come and fight for me.
Then why don't we
They're
arm them?
fighting themselves.
Why doesn't President
They're
Obama arm
extremely
them?
well armed. That's a former member of the Soviet
doesn't
Union.
it send
They've
a
got
signal?
military equipment up the wazoo.
Look.
They need a couple things.
You-
They need night vision goggles. They need intelligence.
But why don't they have
need
them?
flak jackets.
Why don't they have them?
It's time to get that stuff there.
Why didn't we give them to them 6 months ago?
Some of it is on the way, I'm told. Could we get more? Sure.
All right, look.
But
I'll tell you this: the perception is reality in the world in military matters. The perception is we're weak, and President Obama is a commander in chief who doesn't have the heart for conflict right now. That could change. I hope it does. These are threats. Always good to see you, General. Thanks for
good
coming in. We
with you.
appreciate
And
it.
just remember, from Putin's perspective, he can say whatever he wants about Obama or the United States, but if he crosses that line and puts his forces overtly into Ukraine, for him, the consequences are
Rubicon.
incalculable.
All right, and we'll have you back if that happens.
Okay.
And even if it doesn't. Next on the rundown, Ed Henry from the White House. And later.